and enjoy the unique perspective that is expressed through poetry, poems, prose, and short stories.
Okay, hello. Well, okay. Wow. Okay, so hello and welcome back inside the Wolf's Den on Cosmos Astrum Radio. My name is Lone Wolf Poetics. So tonight, so just a couple housekeeping, I guess you could say, points before I get into tonight. The first piece is, I believe, unless I'm wrong, there's not going to be a Royal Ghost show, unfortunately, following me, which is kind of bittersweet, I guess, because obviously that's a great show, but it means I get to do all this stuff I want to do tonight. So that's the first piece, and the second piece is I just really want to thank you guys for how successful my latest video has been. I'm looking at it right now, and currently I am sitting at 76 views, which doesn't sound like a lot, but to kind of put it into perspective, I guess, up until this video, my most viewed video was, I think, 52 or 53 views. So this one absolutely blows it out of the water. And it's very personal. Yeah, it's a very personal and kind of heavy video. So I'm really happy that it's doing this well. Thank you guys. Okay, so with that said, I'm gonna cheer up right now and jump right into my first piece here. I have about 5 pieces I want to try and get through tonight. So with that said, I'm just gonna jump right into it. This first piece is entitled "The Pack," and it goes like this. Nature scenes by howl of wolf at night, a chorus echoing on separate trails. We unite by moonlit wails. By thriller agony, in victory or loss, we come together with heads tossed back to heaven, a collective brethren, an unbreakable pact. Join me in this journey. We are a pack united by diversity, free of hierarchy, where individuality is celebrated, and strength, courage, and perseverance will leave you liberated. We are the ones who walk alone. We are the ones who walk alone, made of stone in the light, who come together when the sun dips to moon, to swoon with a fearful bark in the night's dark. We are the dreamers, we are the lovers, we are the caregivers, we are the warriors. We are the underdogs that cast out who others doubt. We are the ones who fight day and night with We are the ones who fight day and night with invisible foes, but refuse to take a step back. Throw your head to the sky and scream at the stars for every single bleeding scar. Empty your heart of that pain that drives you fucking insane. For every tear you cried and every piece of you that broke off and died. Let the moon consume you until strength is all you feel inside. This is the code of the pack. A little wolf is present in all of us. Peter Stam. Okay, so that was my piece. Entitled "The Pack." I just felt that was a really energetic and fun way to start off the night. So this piece, I'm going to talk about kind of what inspired me to write it, and then inspired like how I wrote it, kind of, because there are two different things. So what inspired me to write the piece overall was actually a conversation I had with a lady at the very end of last year, so 2021 obviously, that messaged me just kind of out of the blue on my Lone Wolf Poetics Facebook page. I think she was responding to an ad or something that I was running, so probably one of my videos, and he just kind of basically wanted some more information, kind of thing. But I remember that conversation, and very quickly basically turned from something like just kind of a simple conversation like that, and all of a sudden it got very deeper, to the point where it was almost like this lady was kind of venting to me, which I was totally cool with. I was really glad that she felt comfortable enough to be able to vent to me. But okay, yeah, so it was kind of like that. But I remember the thing that stuck out the most about that conversation was, I was kind of talking about about my YouTube channel and my poetry and writing and all that. And okay, yeah. So it's kind of stuff like that, and she kind of made the comment, just kind of in reply to that, saying, it's great that you're able to do something you love, and that you have like people supporting you and encouraging you and this and that, but I don't really feel like I have that. So just when I read that, it absolutely just broke my heart, as it would. And it just meant, so I just remember actually very clearly, it was like, it was like, it was one of those moments where it was like, holy shit, like, I can actually make a real difference to people here, with what I'm doing here. So, so we just kind of kept talking, and that, kind of started getting a little bit late. I had to be up for work early the next morning, so, kind of started saying our goodbyes and everything, good nights or whatever. Just kind of like ending the conversation type of thing. This was a couple hours after she made that comment. But I remember one of the last things I said to her, it actually might have been the last thing I said to her before we kind of like signed off for the night type of thing, was actually the first 3 lines of this piece. Nature scenes by howl of wolf at night, a chorus echoing on separate trails, we unite by moonlit wails. So it was just kind of, that's kind of what inspired me to write this piece, because I remember even the next day, I'm still feeling really, really rocked by that comment that she made about not feeling like she has anyone supporting her, encouraging her, anything like that. And I remember those first 3, that last thing I said to her, obviously being the first 3 lines of this piece. And it was like, there's something there with those lines, kind of thing. And it was actually very similar to the 99 Problems piece I did last week. That's still kind of same because those lines stuck with me, right? And I knew I had something there and need to kind of discuss it. So that was kind of what inspired me to write this piece overall. Now, what inspired the actual way I wrote it is actually a spoken word piece that that Nigerian Canadian American hip hop artist, underground rapper by the name of Dax, DAX, released a few years ago. It was actually so he released this spoken word piece, the spoken word video, entitled "I'll Say It For You," and it was actually so the reason for the video is it was actually a kind of a mixtape announcement, type promotion type piece, but it's actually still one of my favorite pieces by Dax. Even though obviously it's not a song, but it still has this exact same kind of energy, that same like motivation, that same kind of intensity that that my piece, The Pack, has. His is kind of, so obviously Dax is saying, I'll be your voice, I'll say it for you. Mine is mine, kind of thing. But I definitely wanted to capture that. And it's a very short video too. I think it's only like a minute and a half or something like that. It's actually really short, but it's very, very good. Very, very well done, as is all of Dax's stuff. But yeah, so that piece, so his piece, I'll Say It For You, definitely has a very intense feel about it, a very uplifting feel about it, a very inspiring vibe about it, and that's definitely something I wanted to capture, or try to capture, in The Pack. And I think I really did that. This is actually a piece I'm very, very happy about as well. But other than that, other than that, that's pretty much so that's pretty much everything I have to say about The Pack. So I'm not going to jump right into my next piece, because I have a quote for you guys. And so this quote comes from the late, great, unmatched Chester Bennington. So sad that he's gone. I'm a huge Linkin Park fan. And Chester was just absolutely amazing. But anyways, the quote from Chester says, and I quote, "When I'm writing, I'm constantly thinking about myself, because it's the only experience I have to draw on. and I don't see an exact reflection of myself in every face in the audience, but I know that my songs have validity to them, and that's why that's why the fans are there. End quote. Okay, so with that said, this is my piece. So with that said, this is my piece entitled Lone Wolf Poetics, and it goes like this. I'm in hiding, biding my time, praying these words of mine will not fall on deaf ears. My message is to find fears and grind gears. Each stroke of my pen blends heartache and danger to the point my hand shakes with anger. I have filled a garbage can with broken pens. When I sit down to write, I commit to a fight. The page is my adversary, my vocabulary, my weaponry, but take heed my advisory. I wish not to be legendary. I simply have comments to be made. A small boat in an ocean I wade, weaving and leading a perfect meaning. I am constructing a structure to resist your construct of destruction, to construct a hidden meaning that does not exist. This is my voice, a clenched fist, a kill shot that will not be missed. Shot from a gun, my violent mind, the cry biblical ties here in Brandon's soul leak every time he steps on stage to speak. Some may think the poets liars, but we ignite fires illuminating night and spill horrors you blissfully ignore. These words, as beautiful as they core, are my instruments of war. These words, as beautiful as they core, are my instruments of war. That is why I cannot be torn away, why I prefer to spend time alone, battling my emotions and rattling words onto stone. I am a poetic lone wolf, howling at the moon, driven by the tune of all strife that accompanies this thing called life. If my hope is to find a wife, I must marry my mistress, for I am forever indebted to the call of white pages until they become indented. I am powerless against a coquetted allure, although I never intended for her love to become cemented in rhyme. My love, our time, will not be lamented. This is my heart and soul, everything I own, it'll bear upon a throne. So take it with love and watch it grow, or let it die and turn to stone. Whichever pleases your aesthetic, I will forevermore speak as Lone Wolf Poetics. Okay, so that was my piece entitled Lone Wolf Poetics. So obviously this is a very personal piece for me. I'm sorry, just adjusting my mic. Okay, yeah, so like I said, this is a very important piece to me, I think for obvious reasons, but it was kind of born out of being inspired by a couple of other spoken word poets, actually. So I'm going to kind of go in the reverse order. So the first of those two amazing spoken word poets being the first of those two poets spoken word poets being Amanda Gorman. Now if you're not familiar with her, she was a youth poet laureate back in, what would that have been, 3 years ago. Whenever President Joe Biden got into office, she was actually recited a piece, I believe it was called "The Hills We Climb" at President Joe Biden's inauguration, and which is actually the first time I heard of her. And then she actually recited another piece at the Super Bowl. This was Super Bowl 55, and I believe she is still the only poet to ever do that, which just speaks to her amazing talent. But the thing that kind of caught my attention about Amanda's style of poetry is she has this beautiful way of using very low word count, but so not only in the overall kind of start to finish word count, but her words per line are also very, very short and very, very minimal. But at the same time, she has these, and I've talked about this before, where she has this tendency to have extremely complex rhyme schemes. Her rhyming structure and the way these multiple and complex multiple complex rhyme schemes that she uses are almost at the level of like rap music, but very, very beautiful. Her poetry has such a beautiful flow and cadence to it because of those intertwining complex rhyme schemes. But it was just, I don't know, it sounds very... Okay, so her stuff, if you actually go and watch her videos on YouTube, either at the President Joe Biden's inauguration or at the Super Bowl, it's almost lyrical how fluid her poetry is. So that was definitely something I tried to emulate with my piece, Lone Wolf Poetics. But also, but I actually, so the second poet that really inspired me with this piece, I actually mentioned in the piece itself, and that is Brandon Leake. Now, if you're not familiar with him, he actually won season 15 of America's Got Talent, which is kind of crazy. It was actually shortly after that. Okay, so it was actually shortly after he won that I actually got the idea to start making spoken word videos. So not only did he really inspire me with this piece, but he also really inspired me to start making YouTube videos as well. So what actually really caught me about Brandon Leake's poetry is how, and actually what ended up winning him, like I said, America's Got Talent season 15, is how vulnerable and how emotional and how just raw his poetry is. He writes about, his family, his struggles, that kind of thing. Which, that on its own is not in any way, shape, or form special, but it's just his vulnerability and his honesty when he's talking about those things that really, he had a way of really drawing people in just based on his vulnerability and his just honesty when he's with his poetry. There's nothing really special about it per se, in terms of like a writing wise or delivery wise or anything like that, but there really doesn't need to be when you're being that open and that raw. So to kind of tie those two so you kind of tie those two pieces into Lone Wolf Poetics, my piece Lone Wolf Poetics. I wanted to try and combine the two. So obviously I have kind of a similar style of writing to maybe Amanda Gorman style, but at the same time I'm trying to get the passion and the vulnerability of Brandon Leake's style of poetry as well. Kind of both those combine into my piece. So this piece also has somewhat of a hidden but not really hidden kind of diss to it, diss inside of it. And so that part is when I say, I am constructing a structure to resist your constructive destruction, to construct a hidden meaning that does not exist. So what I mean by those 4 lines is kind of going back to like when I was in school, so whenever you take like English classes, whether it's like high school, elementary, college even, you almost always are breaking poems down like line by line, even word by word sometimes, and it just gets to a point where you're almost, like I say in Lone Wolf Poetics, you're almost breaking it down to the point where you're trying to make the piece mean something that it's not supposed to mean. You're creating a new meaning that it just doesn't exist. So I actually had, so one of the reasons I actually decided to include that diss is because it happened to me when I was in high school. I had wrote a poem from it's kind of talking about the pit bull dog breed and that kind of that stigma, and It's the pit bull dog breed and the whole stigma around that breed of dog, and how it's just not true, really. Yeah, so I recited it to my class one day, one of my English classes, and so, and I went in knowing we were going to be breaking it down because that's just what we do or whatever, which I was fine with, but it got to the point where the professor was like, so I think you're actually talking about this thing and you're not actually talking about the dogs at all. I was like, no, like, I wrote the damn thing. I know what it's about. You're wrong. But it was like, oh, no. You can see it, as it says right here. It was like, if you rewrite it, yes, no. Yeah, so it's just don't. Right? Just don't. There's nothing wrong with breaking poetry and prose down, and tearing it apart. I'm totally fine with that. Absolutely. Because sometimes there is kind of subliminal messages. But if you're having to break it down so far that you are creating a new meaning that wasn't there and is very clearly not there, don't. That's it. Just don't. Yes, that's kind of what that. Yeah, so that was kind of what that little section was about. But I'm gonna move on now to my next piece. Or actually, no. Okay, no, sorry. Okay, so before I move on to my next piece, I actually have another quote for you, and actually another quote from Chester Bennington. And this one. Okay, yeah. Okay, so this one says, and again, okay, so this time. Okay, so this quote, like I said, comes from Chester Bennington. And this time the quote says, and I quote, "I don't like to hold back because that's how you hurt yourself." End quote. So with that said, this next piece is entitled, "I Have a Voice and I Know How to Use It." And it goes like this. I have a voice and I know how to use it. My pen strokes become vocal cords, creating not words, but my voice. Screaming and irate, depressed and distant, insecure, but never unsure, so hear me roar. Some will say no one will ever read what you write, but you'll remember me when I die. For these words my pen scrawls upon the paper last longer than their doubtful hate. My voice is eternal, engraved unto stone. This voice I own echoes forever louder from heaven down. So when asked, what is your claim to fame? I'll simply smile and say, the person I was able to inspire, the tear I made fall, the conversation I sparked, the thoughts I provoked, and the time that I stole. Because I have a voice and I know how to use it. My pen strokes become vocal cords, creating not words but my voice. Screaming and irate, depressed and distant, insecure, but never unsure, so hear me roar. I have a voice and I will never be silenced. I have a stage the world over, so try and knock me off it. Opinions, views, confessions, questions on paper that cement my legacy. You criticize me, but why are you still silent? Okay, so that was my piece entitled, I Have a Voice and I Know How to Use It. Okay, yeah, so I can't actually remember what actually inspired me to write this piece. Unfortunately, I have a couple of things that I think it might be. One of those being the Macklemore and Ryan Lewis song. What's it called? Vipassana. I can never say that word right. But I think it's Vipassana. Okay, so at least that's how they say it in the song. So I'm assuming that's right. Which is just kind of Macklemore, kind of reflecting on his journey as a writer, as an MC, and kind of his struggles with addiction and that. So it could have been that, but again, I'm not sure. So I was actually kind of going back and forth on whether or not I wanted to include this piece tonight. And the reason for that is because, to me, it sounds very similar to my piece, Lone Wolf Poetics. But I think this piece in particular, like I said, I have a voice and I know how to use it, kind of deals with two points, kind of brings up 2 points that my last piece, Lone Wolf Poetics, did not bring up, and that being kind of why I write in general, and, when I'm talking about what is your claim to fame, and answering the person I was able to inspire, the tear I made fall, the conversation I sparked, the thoughts I provoked, and the time that I stole. My opinions, views, questions, confessions, questions, those kind of things. So that's one point. And I think I kind of touched a little bit on that point, but it's okay, so I think I kind of touch a little bit, or hint, or maybe at least hint, kind of at that point in so in my last piece, obviously, Lone Wolf Poetics. Okay, but the second point is also, you criticize me, but why are you still silent? And I say that because, I think everyone has a voice, whether it's writing, whether it's radio, whether it's music, whether it's, painting, whether it's sculpting, whether it's, whatever your passion is. I truly do believe that is your voice. And I think the world would be better off if everyone kind of used their voice a lot more, and wasn't so afraid to use their voice. So that's kind of why because that's ultimately why I decided to keep this piece in, even though it is kind of similar to, like I said, Lone Wolf Poetics. So I don't really have a whole lot ready to say about this piece, other than that. Alright, so with that said, sorry, just looking at my, I guess, for lack of a better word, set list. Okay, so with that said, I'm going to move on to my next piece here. And, okay, so this piece so before I move on to my next piece, I'm going to actually share so I'm going to share with you one of my absolute favorite quotes ever. This one comes from Pablo Picasso, who said, and I quote, "What do you think an artist is? An imbecile who only has eyes if he is a painter, or ears if he is a musician, or a liar in every chamber of his heart if he is a poet, or even if he is a boxer, just his muscles. Far from it. At the same time, he is also a political being." So far from it. At the same time, he is also a political being, constantly aware of the heartbreaking, passionate, or delightful things that happen in the world, shaping himself completely in their image. How could it be possible to feel no interest in other people and, with a cool indifference, to detach yourself from the very life which they bring to you so abundantly? No. Painting is not done to decorate apartments. It is an instrument of war. Okay, so with that said, this next piece might actually take me a couple tries to get through, but we're gonna see. Okay, so this piece is actually brand new. This is my, like I said, brand new piece entitled Lone Wolf Poetics 3. And like I said, this one's gonna be a little bit different because this isn't so much a poem necessarily as it is a rap song. So as it is a rap song. Okay, so with that said, I'm gonna jump right into it. So this is Lone Wolf Poetics 3, and it goes like this. Okay, so it goes like this. Searchlight in the park at night, news glorifying dog fights, no sight of a double-edged life, drowning in strife, no wife smiling in bed alone, lies I told, whole lives ye saves, graves thou doth made into the ocean they, graves thou doth made into the ocean they wade, dues been repaid 10 times hence, love me or hate me or stand on the fence, love me or hate me or stand on the fence, love me or hate me or stand on the fence. Band together, banish me forever from the great cities of disbelievers. Thou doth insist I grieve for or sever the head of your holy fictitious homestead. With inauspicious dances, advances in psychosis, falling under hypnosis. When I see the prognosis is children restrained in chains, so you can be entertained. But the searchlight in the park at night, news glorifying dog fights, no sight of a double-edged life. I supplement anger for implements of pain. I walk alone like a ranger amongst the pouring rain. That falls like ashes to complement the roaring darkness that spreads like rashes upon my skin. In a world overthrown by severe violence, I am curled in fear by my own silence. For it is in the second spent in isolation the truth of our creation beckons, and the descent of our nation is unveiled by the sluice. Derailed and hailed as heroes by the dollars and zeros in their accounts. I am a brawler by nature, but there is by the dollars and zeros in their accounts. I am a brawler by nature, but there is no amount of bluster I can muster to reunite society's order if I do not. Supplement borders for implements of anxiety. I walk alone like a ranger amongst the pouring rain that falls like ashes, complement the roaring darkness that spreads like rashes upon my skin. I refuse to give in and give an arena to the media, incorporating corporate agendas, the victims of propaganda. They cultivate captive creatures to stimulate lies they're told to believe in and grieve what they breathe. Repulse what triggers the most and vomit their displeasure everywhere, unaware their hate hates their mental state, blind to the mind, oops, too late to correct the course. They're falling in reverse. It's a popular monster to be zombified, and the system is the master. That is why I cannot be torn away, where I prefer to spend time alone, battling my emotions, rattling words unto stone. This is everything I own, let it bear upon a throne. So take away the love and what you grow, let it die and turn to stone. Whichever pleases your aesthetic, I will continue to speak as Lone Wolf Poetics. Alright, wow, I actually made it through on the oh wow, I actually made it through in one take there. That was pretty good. I like that one. Okay, yeah, so this piece is actually a combination of a few older pieces of mine. Those being entitled Intervention, Ashes of Society, and obviously Lone Wolf Poetics. But this piece is a little bit different. So not only am I kind of marrying two complete older pieces together, obviously Intervention, and Ashes of Society. I'm taking a little bit of a piece from a third piece. Okay, so I'm taking a little bit from a third poem, obviously Lone Wolf Poetics, and also incorporating that. But on top of that, I also have a little section in here that is completely brand new and only used in this piece. So that part is when I say I refuse to give in and give an arena to the media, incorporating corporate agendas, the victims of propaganda that cultivate captive creatures to stimulate lies they're told to believe in and grieve what they breathe, repost what triggers the most, and vomit their displeasure everywhere, unaware their hate hates their mental state, blind to their mind, oops, too late to correct the course, they're falling in reverse. It's a popular monster to be zombified, and the system is the master. Okay, so that whole section right there is, like I said, is the only section in this piece that's completely fresh. Everything else is taken from what I call, like, quote unquote, my base poems, being again Intervention and Ashes of Society. So as usual with my base poems, when I'm doing writing where I'm like marrying two pieces together, so Intervention and Ashes of Society are both used in their entirety in this piece. And then obviously just the last little bit of so I have those two pieces in their entirety, kind of mix and matched, kind of in order in that, but definitely they're in their entirety. And then obviously I have that section of where it's just like completely fresh. And then obviously right at the end is that little tidbit of Lone Wolf Poetics. So I think it's really interesting. It was really interesting. It's all of that to say. It was really interesting writing this piece, trying to make it, trying to figure out first of all pieces that work together, that had the same kind of rap, hip hop, kind of cadence and feel to them, which Intervention and Ashes of Society definitely have. And it was really interesting because when I was kind of working with those two pieces, it was really interesting to see how, and this is completely by chance, how well the rhyme structure of both of those two pieces worked together. Considering I wrote them, I think a year and a half or so, year and a half apart. So it was really, like I said, it was really interesting. The writing process for this piece was really, really interesting. And then as I was kind of working with those two pieces, and I kind of got, so I kind of wrote, so I had kind of figured out those two pieces and how I wanted them to work, and how they would work. And then obviously I went and I wrote like that brand new piece. But I didn't really know what to do for an ending, like how to wrap the piece up. I thought about going back and, kind of restarting with that searchlight in the park at night, news glorifying dogfights, no sight of a double-edged life, drawing in a stripe kind of thing. But it just didn't feel, for one, it didn't fit the rhyme structure. Two, it just didn't feel right, to go back and kind of rehash something that I already said a couple of times in the piece. So that just wasn't really feeling right. So I was like, well, it's been a while since I've done like a Lone Wolf Poetics poem. So maybe, and that one kind of has, because it is that written in that, with the way that one's written, it's actually very similar to how Intervention and Ashes of Society are written too. Actually, they both of those pieces have that short line count, short overall word count, but very multiple complex rhyme schemes. So I was like, okay, well, that would actually what if I took a little bit from my piece Lone Wolf Poetics? It has the same theme, and maybe I can manipulate this brand new piece I wrote, or section I wrote. Okay, so maybe I can manipulate this section that I wrote that's brand new to kind of fit the. I wasn't really worried about fitting, making the cadence mix. I'm just pretty sure it would, but just the rhyme structure, so the rhyme scheme work. But it turned out I was able to find a piece of Lone Wolf Poetics where I actually didn't have to do that, which was really cool. So why write a rap piece if I'm a spoken word poet? Because the reason for that is because I have another piece that's actually on my YouTube video, so I have another video that's on my YouTube channel right now, for a piece entitled "My Fire Burns the Clown." So I wanted to do, which is kind of the first video where I actually rap. And I really had a ton of fun writing that piece. I had a ton of fun shooting that video. So I definitely highly recommend you go check that video out. So I knew I wanted to do another kind of rap video, just to kind of switch it up a little bit. Well, I didn't really know what to do. I kind of started playing around with these two pieces, obviously with Intervention and Ashes of Society. I was well, this could work. Like, this has that kind of cadence to it. So yeah, that's basically why. This one's definitely a lot longer. And I think video length too, it's about a minute or so longer. Something like that. Yeah. I'm just looking at my notes here. So one of the things I really, really enjoy about this piece is the fact that despite this piece obviously being more of a rap than it is like a spoken word poem, this piece is very, very visual. We can, so even the way it starts off, right? Searchlight in the park at night, you immediately know what that looks like. News glorifying dogfights. We've seen that on the news. We all know it kind of, or have an idea of what a dogfight looks like. Smiling in bed alone. Right? Yeah, so I just think this piece is has a lot of interchanging pictures that it paints, but it paints them very vividly and very, I think, effortlessly, actually, which is kind of cool. So I just really kind of enjoyed that, and how rapid fire this piece is. So how rapid fire, so how kind of rapid fire and kind of machine gun-esque style that I wrapped this piece in. So even despite that, it's still very visual, I think, right? And it's almost very sensual in terms of, it kind of engages almost all your five senses, right? It engages a lot of your senses, all the way through, which I think is something that really not only helps the piece kind of carry the story, but also kind of hold your attention so hold your attention. So with that said, I'm not actually sure I would have been able to create the same amount of emotion and grittiness and actually paint the pictures in the same way, if I had delivered this and wrote this in a way that was more traditional spoken word poetry as opposed to rap. I think that rap and that cadence and that kind of edge and that aggressiveness is actually kind of what really, really helps this piece stand out and kind of hold up, because this is a very kind of aggressive piece in terms of like lyrical content, kind of what I'm talking about, and the words I'm using in that, they are kind of aggressive, but at the same time, I don't think, even though I do have aggressive spoken word poems in prose, I don't think this specific piece would work if I performed it, recited it, or wrote it in a way that was traditional spoken word poem or prose. I think that it needs that edge, that aggressiveness that hip hop and rap have to actually really, really work, and I think it does. So that's about all I have for that piece. I do have one more. I do have one more piece for you guys, as well as one more quote. Where am I? There it is. So this quote comes from Macklemore and Ryan Lewis. Their song. I wish I could remember the featured artist right now. I can't though. But anyways, their song, their smash hit, Same Love, and I would like to dedicate this song. So this is kind of a last minute, because this piece. Sorry. I'm really excited to share this next piece with you. So I'm kind of jumping the gun a little bit here. So anyways, a quote from Macklemore and Ryan Lewis from their song, taken from their song, Same Love, and the quote goes like this, and I quote: "I may not be the same, but that's not important. No freedom till we're equal. Damn right I support it." So with that said, this next piece and final piece of the night is entitled Birchwood Pines, and it goes like this. Children laughing on the playground amongst the birchwood pines, days of fun and folly quickly fading into brisk mornings of colorful sorrow. For the autumn draws... So children laughing on the playground amongst the birchwood pines, days of fun and folly quickly fading into brisk mornings of colorful sorrow. For the autumn draws near in the birchwood pines, family ties now not as close like an umbilical cord. Family ties now not as close like an umbilical cord, no longer tethered to a cellular. The sight and sounds are ever so familiar, yet somehow treacherous and foreign. But beyond the alluring beauty of the Birchwood Pines lay concealed the clandestine thread of malice. For these weathered pillars constructed from Birchwood Pines have wept with too many a silhouetted child, hiding in fear of the serrated knives they endure. Yes, it is but a mere glare. Yes, it is but a mere glare by these jackals and vultures that send bullets of despair coursing through veins with the kind of pain and hatred that will tear hearts and lives without a care. Our differences should be celebrated. Why are theirs exploited? Jack and Jill's names carved in a heart upon Birchwood Pines, the sentiment honored and treasured. Jason and Jeff's loves torn apart, their affection squandered and ruptured by the Birchwood Pines. Needles! Take another child away. These days look so gray. We should all be cast to hell to pay. But this music is stuck on play. Children laughing on the playground amongst the Birchwood Pines. Days of fun and folly quickly turn to rainy mornings of a political rainbow. To them our kindness we do owe. By the Birchwood Pines may their freedom grow. To them our kindness we do owe. Okay, so that was my piece entitled Birchwood Pines. Like I said, this piece was I'm not gonna say the 11th hour edition, but maybe the 8th hour, 9th hour. So I don't remember so I don't remember the show. A bunch of us from Cosmos Astrum Radio were kind of talking whether or not we wanted to do something for Pride Month, obviously being June. So obviously being June, and whether or not we wanted to do something kind of as a radio station. And I think we're still kind of in the process of discussing that. Unless I missed something, so we were kind of talking about it, and I said, well, I have a piece about kind of homophobia and kind of inspired by the LGBTQ plus community. So I'd be more than happy to do that piece, and obviously Birchwood Pines is that piece. This is a piece that, like I said, kind of a little bit of a late addition to the set list here. But I can't remember. So I can't actually, because this is another piece where I can't actually remember exactly what inspired me to write this piece, although it may very well have been the song Same Love by Macklemore and Ryan Lewis, which is obviously the same song that I started obviously the same song that I took the quote from. So this is the first and actually the only time I have written about the LGBTQ plus community. And the reason for that is, with this piece, I've never, actually until a few years ago, I've always been a supporter, I've always been an ally, but I never really been exposed to the LGBTQ plus community. So I wanted to, and I knew I wanted to do it right. If I was going to write a piece about them, so a piece about that community, I wanted to do it right. So I guess I put, there's a lot of pressure I put on myself, just wanting to do it right and not really having anyone, to ask. It's like, hey, this is a piece I'm writing about. Am I hitting the mark here? Am I missing? Kind of, how am I doing with it? So it's just kind of been, it's always been a topic that I haven't been, I wouldn't say scared to write about necessarily, but definitely nervous to write about. But nervous in a way, but nervous because I know how important it is to get it right for that community, and I want to get it right. So this is kind of, and I think it's actually a little bit makes this piece maybe even a little bit more special because it is the only piece. Yeah, I have, because this is the only time I've written about it. Okay, so with that said, being so nervous to write about kind of this topic in the LGBTQ plus community, one of the reasons I think I was actually able to write about them is because I've always, well, not always, but in the last few years, I guess the only way I can really describe it is by saying I'm an empath, which basically means, if you're not familiar, I can walk into a room and instantly know who's having a great day, who's just had their heart broken, who's really not having a very not good day, so I say I can know. Okay, so I'll say I walk into a room and I know, not because I can read, well, I guess maybe it is because I can read people, but more so because I physically feel the emotions whenever I look at someone, which is very tiring, but also kind of great because it allows me to help people. But it also, I think, helps a lot when I'm writing about these subjects, and topics and themes that I actually know nothing about. And I say that because I'm able to, because I'm an empath, I think I'm able to actually almost put myself in those situations, into those communities, into the emotions of whatever subject I'm writing about, and kind of just let my emotions write, more so than actual experiences. So again, with Birchwood, so when I'm writing about something like with Birchwood Pines, so when I'm writing a piece like Birchwood Pines, I think and again, if that's not the right word, but it's really, so being an empath, I think, really, really helps me there, as much as it's can be not helpful as well. So just one last topic, so just one more point before I kind of wrap up tonight. It's been a long show. So if you remember, if you were able to tune in last week, I did a piece entitled "Sound Off for Ukraine." Obviously, so obviously in that piece, obviously, I had you, you are amazing listeners right here on Cosmos Astrum Radio, actually participate with me. Obviously with the clapping and that, and the chanting. So this is, so Birchwood Pines, I actually need your help again. And this, so how I need you to help me with this piece is actually with my video for this piece. So what I want to do in honor of Pride Month this month, what I wanted to do is I want to shoot a video, but I'm looking for photos of people in the LGBTQ plus community, whether it's, you by yourself, maybe you're, so maybe you're dressed up for Pride, or whatever, or a couple, couples in the community. So just photos, because what I think I want to do, and because there's kind of two ways I'm looking at doing this video. One is just a voiceover and just doing like a slideshow type of thing, or depending on how many photos I actually get, maybe I'll do more of a standard video and then just kind of have photos kind of popping up all the way through. But it will be for Birchwood Pines. So if you are interested in helping out with this video, it is very, very much very, very much appreciated. And again, I'm just looking for photos. I will only ever post. So I will only ever use videos for which I have full consent. The only caveat on that, though, is because this is going to be going on YouTube. If there's going to be photos that I'm only going to use photos. So if you are going to send me photos that I can use, once I have consent and they're in the video, there's really no way for me to take them out of the video. So I guess that would be the only thing with that. But yeah, so if you are interested in helping me out with this video, I'm looking to put the video out kind of toward the end of the month. So just taking a quick look at the calendar here. Yeah, so I'm looking at putting this video out probably on the 24th. So you still got a couple weeks here, a few weeks. The reason I'm putting it so far at the end of the month is because I have a feeling the editing on this one is going to be very difficult and it's going to take a while. So I want to give myself a lot of time. And then also, obviously, to get photos in. I know life gets in the way and stuff, but and that. So anyways, that being said, if you are looking to help me out, so if you are interested in sending me photos or helping me out, you can reach out to me on my Facebook page, Lone Wolf Poetics, and send me there. Or you can jump on our Discord channel and send them and post them in the Lone Wolf what is it called, tab or room or whatever it's called. But anyways, yeah, Lone Wolf there. But it would probably be easiest just to send them directly to me on Facebook. So with that, so with that said, like I said off the top of the show, unfortunately there is no Boreal Ghost show tonight. He is off, which is good because I'm getting really close to the time. So yeah, no Boreal Ghost show tonight, unfortunately. But definitely feel free to check out our YouTube and go back in time, or if you're on Roku or Google Play, I think Google Home, whatever. I believe. So go back in our YouTube channel, catch last week's episode. Our Boreal Ghost, if you're missing him tonight. I know I will be. So moving ahead, on tomorrow night from 10 to 11, we have the Thunder Cave show with Joe. Not exactly sure what he's got planned for us this week, but it should be really, really great. Always a great time in the Thunder Cave show. On the Thunder Cave show with Joe. Like I said, that's going to go tomorrow night from 10 to 11 p.m. Saskatchewan time. And if you can stay up for it, or you wake up early, depending. Check out Saturday morning from 1 a.m. to 2 a.m. Loki's Laughs. It's a great hour. It's a very hilarious, not suitable for work hour of music and stand-up comedy and that. So if you're looking for the complete lineup, definitely check out cosmosastrum.radio.ca. You have our full lineup there, bios for myself and all the other amazing hosts, show times, everything like that, donations, Discord as well. So looking ahead to next Thursday. So next Thursday's theme is going to be very, very, very difficult and very, very heavy, because I'm going to do a truth and reconciliation themed episode. So definitely gonna be a tearjerker, definitely gonna be uncomfortable next week, but it's one that definitely has to be done. So that's gonna be right here, same time and place, inside the Wolf Stand, Cosmos Astrum Radio, Thursday night beginning at 8 p.m. Saskatchewan time. And hopefully there's no hockey on. Yes, and hopefully there's not a hockey game that night. Anyways. So as for my own personal YouTube channel, there's not a video next week. The reason for that is just how well through my last video, Through a Child's Eyes, is doing. I want to share that video as much as possible and give that just another week to breathe. So no new video tomorrow, but there will be one next Friday. And actually, I have 2 videos kind of shot for you guys. So let me know. Hop on Discord right now, and I have a photo. So I have a video shot for Lone Wolf Poetics 3, which I did tonight. And I also have a video shot for a sequel to a sequel I did to a piece I did. So a sequel to a piece I did a couple weeks ago entitled Fear. So the sequel is entitled. So the sequel piece is entitled What You Have Made Me. So hop on Discord. Out of those two titles, Lone Wolf Poetics 3 and What You Have Made Me, which of those two videos which of those two videos do you want me to do for next Friday? Which out of those two videos do you want me to do to be the video next week? Hop on Discord, let me know that. And also, like I said, if you are in the LGBTQ plus community and you want to help me out with this video, with a video for Birchwood Pines, I would greatly appreciate it. And feel free to, please feel free to send your photos, just your photos, to Lone Wolf Poetics Facebook page. And yeah, other than that, I don't really have anything else to say to you guys. It's been a long episode, so I'm gonna get out of here. And actually, yes, I'm gonna go out of here because I'm gonna get out of here. And with that, I will say there's no right time to start writing, so just write right now. Good night.